Today we're delving into a chilling and tragic case that stunned the world in 2012. This is the story of Frank Spencer, a man whose life was brutally and mysteriously cut short. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore the details of this harrowing case, examining the evidence, the suspects, and the impact this crime had on the community. Settle in as we uncover the truth behind the tragic murder of Frank Spencer. In the summer of 2012, Millville, Pennsylvania, USA, a small town known for its close-knit community and serene landscapes, was rocked to its core by an event no one could have anticipated. The case captured attention not just locally, but across the entire state. News outlets from all over Pennsylvania descended upon Millville, eager to uncover the details of this heartbreaking story. Many still remember the tragic death of 46-year-old Frank Spencer, whose passing left a void in the hearts of those who knew him. His memory is honored through various memorials and vigils. The dreadful and bizarre circumstances surrounding his death left everyone in disbelief. The crime scene was a puzzle, with investigators working tirelessly to piece together what had happened. The community grappled with questions and a deep sense of loss. Frank was born on November 10, 1965, to Cyrus and Melina Spencer in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. Growing up in a small, close-knit community, Frank was surrounded by the warmth and support of his family and neighbors. His parents were well-respected members of the community, known for their kindness and hard work. From a young age, Frank showed a keen interest in sports and active games. He spent countless hours playing with friends, running around the neighborhood, and participating in local sports events. In high school, Frank's passion for sports found an outlet in wrestling. He joined the wrestling team and quickly became a standout athlete, dedicating himself to rigorous training sessions and impressive match performances. After graduating high school in 1984, Frank pursued a degree in business at a local university, completing it in 1988. He balanced his studies with part-time work at his family's auto parts business, eventually taking on more responsibilities. In 1997, Frank met Maria Coote, and they were immediately drawn to each other. Their connection was instant, sparking a passionate romance. Maria, known for her fiery temperament and bold character, was a woman who knew what she wanted. Despite their family's concerns, Frank and Maria followed their hearts. Family gatherings were often tense, but they eloped and started their life together. Their wedding was a small, intimate affair, filled with love and hope for the future. They soon had 2 children, a boy and a girl, and their family grew alongside their responsibilities. Frank worked hard to provide for his family, prioritizing his children above all. However, the pressures of work and family life began to take a toll. Maria's behavior caused problems in their marriage, leading to frequent arguments and growing distance. In 2006, Frank decided to divorce her due to constant scandals and behavior he felt was harmful to their children. The divorce led to a bitter custody battle. Frank wanted sole custody, believing Maria couldn't properly care for the children. The legal proceedings were long and arduous, with both sides passionately presenting their cases. The judge had to consider the children's best interests, involving social workers and therapists to assess the family dynamics. Frank was determined to prove he was the better parent, while Maria fought to maintain her relationship with the children. The custody battle left deep emotional scars on everyone involved. The conflict escalated, with Maria attacking Frank and the children, leading to multiple police calls. The tension in the household was palpable, and neighbors often reported loud arguments and disturbances. In 2008, Maria was arrested for disorderly conduct after a scuffle with Frank's mother and for stalking Frank. This was not an isolated incident. It marked the beginning of a series of confrontations that grew more intense over time. Despite these incidents, Maria continued to harass and threaten Frank. He lived in constant fear, and the children were deeply affected by the ongoing turmoil. Maria's behavior became increasingly erratic, and her threats more severe. Legal actions were taken, but they did little to deter Maria. Restraining orders were issued, yet she found ways to circumvent them, further escalating the conflict. The situation reached a boiling point, leaving everyone involved on edge. In 2009, Frank met Julie Dent, and their relationship further angered Maria. Maria, who had always been possessive and controlling, couldn't stand the thought of Frank moving on. Adding to the tension, Maria's father, Anthony Rocco Franklin, who had just been released from prison, got involved. After Rocco's release, important documents were stolen from Frank's office. Despite suspicions, there was no proof against Maria or her father. The tension between Frank and Maria escalated, with frequent arguments and confrontations. Julie tried to mediate, but her efforts were in vain. The situation grew more volatile, leading to several police interventions. Frank felt increasingly threatened, and the atmosphere became more hostile. The new relationship had not only failed to bring peace, but had intensified the existing animosities. The situation worsened when fires broke out at Frank's mother's house, consuming much of the property and leaving behind a charred and devastated structure. Later, another fire occurred at Julie's house, causing significant damage and instilling a deep sense of fear. Both fires were suspected to be arson, but no evidence could directly link Maria or Rocco to the crimes. The police conducted thorough investigations, but the lack of concrete evidence made it difficult to press charges. Frank and Julie lived in fear, constantly looking over their shoulders. Frank continued to meticulously document Maria's threats, hoping to gather enough evidence to protect his family. They took additional security measures, installing cameras and joining a neighborhood watch. Despite their efforts, the sense of unease lingered and the threat of further attacks loomed over them. In June 2012, Frank and Julie staged a breakup to calm Maria down, hoping this would ease the tension and allow everyone to move on. However, just weeks later, Frank was found dead in his home. The discovery shocked the community and led to a thorough investigation. Police meticulously combed through the crime scene, collecting evidence and piecing together the events leading up to Frank's death. Suspicion quickly fell on Maria and her boyfriend, Rocco. Their behavior had been erratic, and there were numerous reports of threats made against Frank. Investigators found incriminating evidence that linked both Maria and Rocco to the crime. The case took a dark turn as more details emerged, painting a grim picture of jealousy and betrayal. The investigation continued for months, uncovering a web of lies and deceit that ultimately led to their arrest and conviction. Rocco fled to Colombia, hoping to evade capture, but his freedom was short-lived. He was eventually captured in Argentina after an international manhunt. Following his arrest, Rocco was extradited back to the United States to face justice. Meanwhile, Maria was apprehended and charged with multiple offenses, including murder, arson, and burglary. After a lengthy trial, she was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison plus 50 years. Rocco's trial followed, and he too was found guilty of his heinous crimes. The judge handed down a life sentence plus 45 years for Rocco, ensuring he would never walk free again. Both Rocco and Maria now reside in maximum security prisons, reflecting on their actions. The courtroom was filled with a sense of justice as the sentences were delivered. Their story serves as a grim reminder of the consequences of a life of crime. And so, the tragic case of Frank Spencer finds its resolution with the perpetrators behind bars for life. This case shows how quickly a close person can become a deadly enemy and highlights the tragic consequences of a bitter divorce. The courtroom drama that unfolded was a stark reminder of the legal battles that often accompany such personal tragedies. The meticulous police investigation revealed the dark underbelly of a relationship gone sour, piecing together the events that led to the tragic end. The community's response was one of shock and mourning, as they gathered to remember Frank Spencer and support his grieving family. Frank Spencer's life, once filled with joy and promise, was cut short by a series of unfortunate events, leaving a void that can never be filled. As we reflect on this case, we are reminded of the fragility of life and the devastating impact of unresolved conflicts. As we learn from these sad events, it's important to stay aware, help those who might need it, and always take care of each other. Stay safe and look out for warning signs in those around you.